Hi everyone, and welcome back to the PhD vlog. Today is a very special edition of the vlog because I am joined by a friend.
Hello.
This is Dr Nathan Ryder from the Viva Survivors podcast, associated workshop, and also 2 ebooks now.
2 ebooks, yeah.
So, as you all know, I am preparing for my Viva at the moment, and because you've all been following the journey, we thought we would share the preparation with you and give you some tips on preparing for your own Vivas.
I think there are 4 key areas that people need to think about when it comes to preparing for their Viva. The first one is, well, I've got a background in maths, and I don't want to sound really statistical, but I did a little bit of research last year, and the statistics are really in people's favour. In the humanities, it's a really positive picture that's painted.
Okay.
The research paints a really positive picture for the Viva. They tend to be shorter than sciences.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah. They tend... Overall, it's a similar sort of number of people who get no corrections or minors, but slightly more likely to get none.
Oh wow, okay.
And also, yeah, I think we've said already, but 2 hours is 80% of people can expect to have a Viva of 2 hours or less.
Okay.
So
great. All right. So some good statistics to start us off with. Point 2.
Point 2. We wanted to talk a little bit about resources. If you Google PhD Viva questions, there's a lot of things that people have shared. One physical, real-world thing that people have said is really helpful, he leans off camera, are these Viva cards. George Julian, who's on Twitter, runs this business and basically has made these little artefacts. And
wow, I've never heard of these. These are brand new to me. Okay.
Yeah, but what I think is really nice about this, and you could make some yourself, what's really nice is that it is a physical object. It's something to, in a sense, to play with.
I think these are a fabulous idea. I mean, as people who watch the vlog will know, I've been on the job market recently, and the best thing that I did to prepare for my first job interview was do a mock interview at the career service that UCL runs. And I think there's nothing that can really prepare you for vocalising your answers. You can think about them as much as you want and think, oh, okay, I'm assuming that I'm going to be asked this type of question, but there's nothing like being on the spot and not knowing what's coming next.
For the purposes of your Viva prep, there are a couple of groups of people who can offer a lot of support, and of course one of those is your supervisors, not least because while you're the expert in your work, they also know so much about it and giving you advice. So if, you could have a mock Viva with them. I think the conversations I've had the last few years, I think about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 people have mocks.
That's quite high.
It is quite high. Everyone that I've spoken to has said that it was helpful, but everyone that I've spoken to has also said that it was completely different from the real Viva.
Okay,
but
right.
Again, like
psychologically helpful.
Next, we were going to talk about preparations, weren't we? So,
number 3.
Okay, so let me ask that. So your Viva is... Emma didn't know I was going to ask anything, so this is great.
Uh-oh.
You've got about 7-8 weeks before your Viva. So,
yeah, that sounds right.
So what have people told you to do, or what have you thought to do in the past?
The main piece of advice that I've had is read over my thesis. Beyond that, I've had not a great deal of guidance. My supervisor and my second supervisor have both said we'll have a chat beforehand. I've had one friend tell me that a good strategy is to write a book proposal. So
oh, wow, that's a great idea. Yeah.
A lot of people have told me not to sweat over it too much, so don't feel I need to lock myself in a library for 3 weeks and reread everything on my bibliography.
It doesn't need to be a full-time job
right.
for the Viva. It's really important to do some prep, and of course the Viva itself is a big part of the PhD, but it's likely to be 2 to 4 hours at the upper end.
Yeah.
And compared to the previous 3 or more years of study, it's only a tiny part in some respects. In terms of annotation, I think it's really about making it useful for you. Even doing something as simple as I put post-it notes at the start of each chapter so that I can find things more easily.
That sounds really sensible.
Some other things that could be really useful, if you just took a sheet of paper for each chapter, chapter 1, what's important at the top, look at any recent publications and see if there's anything which has any kind of bearing.
Okay, so that all sounds pretty sensible.
Yeah.
How far in advance would you say I should start preparing? So you mentioned it's kind of 7 to 8 weeks away.
Yeah. Well, I suppose now, if people were thinking of having a mock Viva, people tend to have them about 2 weeks in advance so that they've kind of the preparations for a mock Viva and the real one overlap.
Sure. but there's still enough time to
Yeah.
incorporate the feedback if
Absolutely.
something comes up.
Abs-
Okay, so that brings us to section 4, which is what's going to happen on the actual day.
I think you told me before your Viva's going to be the 30th.
30th of September, yes.
And do you know if it's morning or afternoon?
It is, I think it's at 2 p.m.
2
I'm pretty
p.m.
sure it's at 2.
2 p.m. I mean, it
Oh
might-
no! You're going to
no,
tell me that this
No.
You're going to pull out a graph and it'll be like
Yeah.
the peak times
I
of
wish
pass and fail.
I wish I had a graph. That would have been great.
And at 2 p.m. it'll be...
No. In some respect, it's good because most universities have a policy of Vivas only being able to take place during normal work hours.
Okay.
People wonder whether they have to dress really smart for the Viva, whether it's
Okay.
like, do you go for business casual almost? And I think the main thing is to wear something that makes you feel authentic. So something that makes you feel like a good version of yourself. So you'll hear of people who've said that they were told at the start of their Viva that they passed.
Okay.
That does happen. Maybe 1 in 5 people are told at the start.
Okay.
Your examiners will have read your thesis, they will have written a report about it, they'll have conversations in advance about what they are going to do on the day, what kind of questions or areas they might want to look at. And they care. I mean, this is, I think we've mentioned already, they're interested, and they really are. They're interested in your work. It can be a really good idea to try and make notes during the Viva. But someone told me, they took a bottle of water to the Viva, which, again, that's a really good thing to do. It's a very practical thing, but very good thing. But every time they were asked a question, they would just take a quick sip of water, because it just allowed a very natural pause.
Feeling much more prepared already. I think I know what I
really
need to do now. We thought we might wind things up by doing a little Q&A. So I have a couple of questions. You've mentioned, Nathan, that it's a good idea to go into the Viva with a water bottle, a pad and a pen so you can make notes, and an annotated copy of your thesis.
Yes.
Anything else?
Those are the 3 essential
Okay.
things. There are papers that you think are really important,
Okay.
or if you've made any overviews or the book proposal idea,
Right.
those won't hurt. I wouldn't suggest getting those onto the desk, but they're there if you need them.
You mentioned that kind of you should think of it more as a discussion rather than an interrogation. Does that mean that you can ask your examiners questions?
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's a really great thing to do, especially if you're trying to stay in academia. The only thing that I would advise on that is that if you are going to ask your examiners a question, is to be sure that you've got an opinion yourself.
Okay.
Because they could very quickly turn it back and say, "Whoa, oh, that's a good question. Well, what do you think?"
Okay, well, I think that's answered all my questions. I'm going to throw the floor open to Nathan now to finish off the vlog today.
I'm involved with 2 things I think that I want to share. One is the Viva Survivors podcast, where I interview people about their PhD, their Viva, how they prepared for it and what happened. And, we talk a little bit about what they've been doing since then. I've written 2 books on Viva preparation as well, that's been born out of the kind of work that I've been doing the last few years.
If anyone wants to get some in-person advice from Nathan like I have, he does run workshops as well. And you can find the contact details on your website.
Yes, yep.
Yep, so if you're from an educational institution and you'd like to have someone come in and help prepare your students, do feel free to get in touch.
Yeah, please do.
You can see what these flashcards look like in person. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.